Well, let's talk Pinterest. Pinterest for me was the most underutilized, but giving me the most traffic, and I didn't even know it. And so I had posted a couple infographics for Practice the Practice on there. And then when I went and searched a good year after I had posted these, I saw that I was putting all this time into Twitter, and actually more traffic was coming from Pinterest than even Facebook. And so I then ended up just having Twitter be totally automated. I probably jump on there once a month, if that. But Pinterest, you and I, Sam, have really doubled down on that and making tons more infographics there. We did a giveaway a couple months ago for Next Level Practice for people, to have all these infographics. So talk a little bit about who should be on Pinterest and maybe people that maybe shouldn't be on Pinterest.
So I'd say if your ideal client is a female in the ranges of 25 to 50, you should definitely be on Pinterest. Pinterest is like our female gold mine. And I would say exactly what you said, infographics are great on Pinterest. They do really, really well, especially obviously if they are designed well and if they include not too much information, but kind of enough to spark an interest and get someone to click through to a blog post. So Pinterest is a great way to drive traffic to your website. I'd say that's pretty much, well, it's obviously the aim of all social media, but specifically Pinterest. And yeah,
it's also a great way to redo a bedroom like you did recently and posted all those pictures. It turned out really well.
Pinterest helped with my home and my wedding and everything. So yeah, it's a great way to kind of find information, and I would say definitely repurposing kind of all of your blogs onto Pinterest, even just using the image and then having it link through to the blog post. I would definitely recommend converting your personal account to a business account. There's some great ways. Also, you can create a showcase kind of at the top of your profile, which includes the top 5 boards, just to kind of showcase your main content. So it's a great way to promote your blog. If you have a YouTube channel, to promote that as well. And then, yeah, tons of infographics.
Yeah, I want to drill into a couple of those comments. So switching to a business Pinterest, what are the top reasons why? I know there's analytics, but what else are the top reasons why someone should switch to a business one?
So if you switch to a business one, you can also enable rich pins, which kind of just give more information. So instead of it just being the picture and a heading, so for example, if you pin a blog post, it'll give your company logo, it'll give the heading, it'll give the author, it'll give a description. So it just kind of represents your pins in a better way. It also gives you the ability to promote pins if you want to. So you can obviously put money behind it if you see that some pins are successfully driving traffic to your website. And then, as you said, you've got access to the analytics. And it also just gives you the ability to, there's more options. Like I said, you can have that showcase at the top, which is almost like a slideshow of your top 5 boards. So it just kind of presents better. And then if you want to at some point start putting money behind it, you're able to do that as well.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned taking a blog post and putting just the image on there. Now, if you wanted to take it up and turn that blog post into an infographic, maybe take us through just some of the basic design elements of what makes a good infographic.
So I would say the first thing you should do is head over to Canva to create an infographic, especially if you obviously don't have access to a designer. They have tons of ready-made templates that you can use. I would say when it comes to infographics, not including too much information. So a lot of people want to basically include the whole blog post into an infographic just with some pictures, and that's not really the purpose of an infographic. The purpose of an infographic is pretty much just to have the headlines or the subheadings of the article to spark someone's interest, and then they click through to the blog to read more. So I'd say not too much information. Make sure that people can read so don't make the font too small. Make sure that they can read the information, and then include your logo and URL, because obviously, especially on Pinterest, your infographics will get shared a lot and people will pin it to their profiles. So make sure that you have your URL and your logo there so that people will go back to your website.
I'm so glad I did that. There was an infographic idea I had years ago, and it's like your first 12 months of private practice, and it kind of breaks down 3 different areas of like marketing, logistics. And I woke up in the middle of the night and literally scribbled it down on a napkin, and I'm glad that I could read it. But when I made that the next day, I'm just glad that I put practiceofthepractice.com, because I don't know how many times it's been shared, but that continually sends people back to our website, even though I made it years ago. Yeah. So I think Canva is a great place as well. Having sort of an image that goes, like those kind of images where it's not a picture, but it's, what do you call it? Where it's sort of like an icon. Yeah, so like an icon, then your big point. So 5 ways to reduce anxiety. So meditation, and then mindfulness is a great way to reduce anxiety naturally. And then, just boom, like kind of quick hits versus we're going to have this, the whole blog post on there. Yeah. So with Pinterest, some people probably want to know how to automate it. I know we used to use one tool, and then that's been discontinued. And new Sam this morning just told me about kind of we're going to be switching to a new one, and I approved that. What's the new tool, and what do tools do to help automate things? Tailwind. Good job, Angela.
Tailwind. There you go. Yes. Thank you. So yeah, I'll find out a bit more about that from Sam. But as far as I know, it's a great way to be able to schedule pins like we do with the rest of social media. So instead of having to kind of sit and pin every day, and obviously it's important to stay active on your Pinterest, just like with every other social account. So to be able to sit kind of beginning of the week or beginning of the month and just pin away your own pins, and then you can also obviously include other people's pins in there as well.
Now, when we talk about kind of board setup, we've just got a couple minutes left. There's those counseling type of blog posts. So 5 ways to reduce anxiety, how to help your child, get through a tantrum, those kind of things. What would be things that would be kind of ancillary to that? What would be other types of boards that would fit the brand of a practice that people maybe wouldn't think of?
So I would say, again, focus kind of on your ideal client. So whatever their pains are, kind of create boards around that, and then you can include tips and advice within there. But then also you can showcase your personality a bit. So not too much, but maybe things that you're interested in, you can kind of include there as well. You could have a board for inspirational quotes. As I mentioned earlier, if you have a YouTube channel, you could have a board for kind of all your videos. If you have a podcast, you can have a board for all your podcast show notes. So basically kind of just every aspect of your business, just create a board around that.
Well, and even thinking through the lens of your practice. So for example, if you're really into food, don't just have food I like, have it be like recipes for mental wellness. And so maybe they're all like, low carb, low sugar, but delicious food, or kind of whatever your focus is, you can then have that focus. Now, when people set up a business Pinterest page, is that separate from their personal, like a separate login, or is it within, so like there's a business page in Facebook that's under your personal? How does that work with just setting up the business page on Pinterest?
So with Pinterest, you pretty much convert your personal profile into a business account. Otherwise, if you aren't wanting them to be one and the same, then you need to create a business account separately. But even if you transfer your personal Pinterest account to a business Pinterest account, and you still kind of want to keep your personal boards, you can just make them secret boards. So then they won't be shown to the public, but then you can still use Pinterest for your personal use kind of privately.
Yeah. Like when we were designing our house, we didn't need to have everybody see that.
Yeah.
So do people need to have a board for every single thing that they do? Like, for example, do they need a board for depression, anxiety, kids' behavior, or should it be more broad than that, and then they're all just pins within it?
I would recommend a board for everything, just from like an SEO and keyword point of view. If you have a board for anxiety, you can really focus your descriptions and everything around that topic, and it's more likely to be found than if you kind of have a board with tons of stuff in it. And initially it will look a bit thin because you'll obviously only have a few pins in each board, but don't worry about that. Obviously over time, you'll kind of build those boards up, and then it gives you the option to kind of separate your content in an organized fashion.
Cool. And kind of one of the last things that I have as a question that was also asked is, are there people that you recommend following to learn more about how they're pinning? Or is it really kind of specific to, if I help with depression, I should just search depression in Pinterest and then see who I like?
I would say, I mean, you can pretty much follow whoever you want. If there's a Pinterest board or a pinner who does really well in organizing their Pinterest account, or whose pins you enjoy, I would say that's fine. It also kind of just gives insight into your personality and kind of who you are, which helps as well. But then obviously following people that are relevant to your industry just makes sense as well. So
Awesome.